Welcome to this week's bonus episode of the C Xchange in the studio. I'm Alex Russell-Rutherford, Customer Experience Champion, and really excited today to do a bonus topic related to our Awards International event, where we have a couple of our fellow judges or Awards International members joining us in the studio. So, who have I got opposite me today? Would you like to introduce yourself and maybe what your job is?
Okay, so my name's Hannah Cox. I've operated in the CX space for around 15 years. I've been involved with Awards International actually for around that time scale, probably getting on towards 15 years. And ultimately, I'm a senior headhunter within the customer experience space, hiring for senior leadership talent across marketing, operations and digital. I spent just over 10 years of my career with really starting off my career within CX directly within CX, so with a smaller boutique organisation, search firm, and
the current company is called?
The current company is Gallup Executive.
Gallup Executive.
Yeah.
Good name.
Thank you very much. We work at pace.
I like what you did there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, ultimately, I've set up the business with the support of some customer experience leaders, etc. So, bringing together the knowledge and the excellence of a corporate search firm with the agility and the commitment of a boutique. Do you like that one, Alex?
Sold. Stamp that. Trademark it. So over the next 15 minutes, I've got some quick fire questions for you. Some of it relates to the Awards International experience.
Yeah.
Because there's always an interesting path as to how we end up judging, or did you start off as a finalist, or was it something else? So we might probe that. Some of your thoughts and feelings about customer experience in general, and we might throw a few curveball questions your way as well, but don't worry, it's only about 15 minutes or so, okay?
Go for it, hit me with it, Alex.
Excellent. So as I mentioned, the event that is at Scoop HQ today is our Awards International Judge Club networking event, where we're going to get to know each other a bit more, talk all things customer, and maybe do some cheesy networking off the back of it. Spoilers, look out for the customer passport. It's going to be a little interactive moment. I'd love to ask you about your Awards International journey. You said it went back 15 years.
Yeah.
So did you start off as a finalist? Did you jump straight in as a judge? Tell me about it.
So, ultimately, Alex, I operate in a service and support capacity to the customer experience industry rather than working client side, I would term, and for a brand itself, a consumer brand itself. There are many, with that in mind, there are many benefits really to being a part of the Awards International, CX programs, and one of them is the holistic knowledge that you gain around CX across industries, across organisations, and really, the inside insight that you get of what different organisations are doing with regards to. I've judged a whole myriad of the awards.
Go on. What was the first one?
Oh my!
All the way back.
Gracious me!
Because I can remember mine. It was ages.
I can't remember mine because at the end of this year, I will have judged at 21 different awards. I used to do the Digital Experience Awards, the UK Digital Experience Awards, and it probably was that I initially started to judge at. But, the information that you gather from doing this, it's so valuable to share in one-to-one interactions, just to share your knowledge with potential clients and clients, and so that I can remain credible within our space.
Yeah, I think what I love the most is so similar is, A, you get to hear really passionate people telling their story, which who doesn't love that, right? But also, as someone working in the customer experience space, it's a bit like you've got a foot in the real world as well, isn't it? How are they solving similar problems to what we've got? And sometimes you'll find they've done it in a slightly different way, or they've been even more creative, or they found a way, just like we love, to bring culture and customer together, right? Which is really exciting. So I totally agree with you on that.
There are two other aspects here, Alex. I'll talk quickly.
No, go for it.
I mean, as I say, we in operating in a service and support capacity to the industry. The promotional opportunities that are provided are immense, really. So, over social media, as I say, just the one-to-one interactions of actually being on stage and given awards, which
it's a big moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So, from a personal development perspective, so valuable, and obviously, Hannah Cox on stage is going to do my credibility again. It's doing me really well.
Last year, as Scube, we decided to sponsor one of the categories for the first time ever. And one of the really unexpected sort of proud moments for us was when it was the red carpet, when the finalists were arriving at the awards, our logo was on the red carpet.
Yeah.
So, and because we're quite a new organisation, relatively speaking, it was a real moment. It was like, oh, wow, Scube's real, Scube's here. And again, having that moment on the stage to be able to present the award it's a big, on a personal level, is a bit like, oh, wow, I was on stage at Wembley Stadium. It was... Yeah,
it's a biggie.
Yeah.
It's so important to get yourself out and about and to get yourself known and trusted is
it does validate
the key. Yeah, 100%.
Happy to move on?
I am.
Excellent. Let's just make sure that's nice and close. I don't know if it's just the way I'm sat. There we go.
I don't usually struggle with the volume of my voice, Alex, but be guided by you, of course.
Hey, if there's any problems with the sound, just...
It's usually, can you turn the volume down, Hannah, rather than anything else?
Okay, question number 2. Who do you see as being amazing at customer experience? So it could be something that a retail experience that you've loved. It might be something more financial, like the car experience. Or it might just be an app that you love to use, like your Monzos or your Octopus Energies. Who do you think's great?
So, I mean, this is a really difficult question to answer, really, because... and, we've got to make this last for 15 minutes, so I'd rather not just say, oh, douche, 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 let's stretch the story out a little bit. It seems to me at the moment like nobody actually in the UK is doing anything kind of real standout.
That's a strong answer.
It is, yeah. Well, I'll be bold. I'll always be bold. So across industries... we tend to have this herd mentality where organisations are not within their individual sectors are not necessarily doing anything that's to stand out right now. And, the focuses for organisations are elsewhere, I believe, which is why customer satisfaction is at an all-time low, etc. Organisations are ultimately concentrating on keeping afloat and looking at driving cost efficiencies. As I say, the focus is elsewhere. Now, there are things that have driven change which will benefit the customer. So we've got regulatory aspects, so financial services, for instance. We've just had the consumer duty regulation come in, which replaces the treating customers fairly, which is much more outcome focused for the customer rather than process. And I mean, we've got 4 out of 10 of the top 10 top 10 ranking organisations on the UK Customer Satisfaction Index that are actually banks. 9 out of the top 50. And so when we look at kind of the regulatory drivers behind what these organisations have had to do, that might give us some answers there. There are other industries which have been hindered dramatically, really potentially by regulation, but then also having to answer to shareholders rather than to actual customers. So we've got the water industry, for example.
It's very topical.
Telecommunications, both industries which are hindered heavily by, huge legacy systems, processes, etc. I mean, I would say that customer experience, apart from obviously the finalists of these awards programmes, it could be in a better shape, really, in the UK.
I was at an event last week and someone said something really similar to that, which I hadn't had that thought myself before, which was around why is it that, why are there so few finalists, right? Why are so few people really pushing the boundaries and stuff. And it's really in that space, isn't it? But
there's one other thing as well, Alex, really, which I always find really fascinating. It's the connection between brand perception and actually what is going on. I mean, an organisation can really work quite hard or very hard on its brand and loyalty behind the brand, but then actually, when you scratch behind the surface, what's actually being delivered might not be the best. And I mean, we've seen a lot of TV advertising at the moment around organisations pushing values, etc., that are not necessarily aligning to what product or service is being delivered. But I mean, we need to do better.
We absolutely do. Intent is so important in an organisation. When the door's closed, when you're not being audited, is it process, or is it actually customer? But I could talk at length for that, so we shall. I might expand on that theme though, because I had a question which was quite similar to the route that we're going down, which might be more around what's your biggest customer experience frustration today then? What is it that needs to stop? On a personal level, I felt like when we came out of lockdown, for example, and I am bored of lockdown stories because it's been a while now, but it felt like a lot of what we were trying to do with companies got easier over lockdown because they had to, right? And then all of a sudden we're back in the real world. And then, when I'm having to do my broadband renewal, I have to phone up, or, transferring pensions because I'm a grown up. I had to fill in a paper form,
Paper?
Yeah.
What's that?
And post it. And, it's a bit like,
my gosh,
how is this a 2024? So is there anything in that space where you feel like something needs to stop?
I mean, I'd go kind of really broad on that one. To be fair, let's face it, businesses by and large are operating in a very lean capacity at the moment, which means that people that are left within businesses right now, by and large, there's a tremendous amount of pressure on them. And I just think businesses, treat your people fairly, treat your employees really well, and make them want to service your customers effectively and in a nice, friendly manner. Life's tough for most people right now, isn't it? So it's nice if you do have to talk to somebody or communicate with somebody over web chat or whatever other channels, that the person is, that they want to actually be there and they want to be doing their job and giving you the service.
Yes. And more often than not, I keep feeling like I'm experiencing that in person as well. I don't know if it's burnout or, just the pressure of retail. Sometimes you're a bit like, I don't know, that felt a bit robotic, but, onwards.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. We got a bit deep there. Let's take a pivot in a different direction.
Interesting.
So you've been in this sector for 15 years, as you said at the beginning. How did you end up in the world of customer experience? I wonder what the background leading up to it was, or how you ended up there. We've all got really interesting paths, how we end up doing the job that we're in.
Yeah.
So I wonder what yours is.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting, actually. So this is actually my second career. I've not always been in search. I actually was in the mortgage intermediary industry before, again, serving customers. So although I said I've spent 15 years directly in customer experience, I've spent pretty much all of my career servicing customers in some way. Actually, one of my very close friends was a recruitment director. I was in between careers, and we all know what happened in 2008, 2009 when the mortgage intermediary sector specifically got literally wiped out overnight. And so I was I'd done really well in that career, by the way. I was the shareholding director of a 2.9 million turnover business at age 26, and to go from that to
applause soundtrack here.
So to go from that to my industry has literally disappeared. I was at a real crossroads in my life, and I just did not know what to do next. And moving into sales is something that I never dreamt in a billion years that I would do, because I was always, I don't really like the terminology back office, because you're still serving customers, but I was mortgage underwriting, data analytical, my comfortable area, really. So one of my best friends had been a recruitment director for a boutique agency that specialised within the FMCG consumer goods space. And she said to me, Hannah, you'd be brilliant in recruitment. Why don't you give it a shot? And I immediately thought of The Apprentice and recruitment consultants on The Apprentice. And I just thought, it's just not me. Fiona, I'm sorry, but it's just not me. Anyway, 12 months later, and my friend asked the question again. She says, Hannah, will you please come and see my boss? You've got nothing to lose. Just come and have a meeting with him. So I did, and I worked for this boutique. So I met my friend's boss, and he seemed logical. And I just thought I'll just give it a shot. So I worked for this organisation for then I worked at this organisation for 12 months. Obviously, I'd been operating in a senior leadership capacity in a previous career, and I just felt that I could be doing more. I mean, in the world of recruitment and search, I thought, wow, there's a real opportunity here to help people, candidates, and to help businesses. And so then I moved to a different organisation that was specifically within the customer experience space, where I remained for 10 years, and then obviously moved to a large corporate where I spent 2 years. And that's why now I'm in a really good position to be building Gallup Executive out with the best of both worlds of the boutique side and the corporate world as well. So
interesting. There's quite a few judges who I've met over the years that are in the search headhunter space. It's really, for me, it makes for a really well-balanced judge panel as well, because having the mix of people who are directly part of the organisation, the people who might be thought leaders in the space, and then the people who are part of the chain as well. It makes for a more rounded Q&A, the scoring. You actually bring a lot to it, I think.
We have a very holistic view. So, I mean, digital transformation, for example, can mean very different things for, a tech organisation to a housing association, for example. So it's, it's a really great way to keep that holistic bird's eye view on the industry ultimately.
Interesting. Okay, penultimate question. What's the biggest piece of advice you would have for teams trying to improve their customer experience? What do you think that one thing is that they should tackle first? So spoilers, there are those things that we know we either put off, or that are the hardest things to change, or, that sometimes leadership can tackle the squeaky wheels, but it's not the thing that they should be fixing, right? So if someone was looking to improve their customer experience, what do you think what direction would you point them in?
So are we looking at this from a senior leadership strategic perspective or from a frontline perspective?
Whatever answer you want to give, just say that bit at the beginning.
Okay, so from a senior leadership strategic perspective, I would say if you hire a customer experience leader, then listen to them and allow them to do what they need to do to drive the effective change for the customer, which will reap, immense business benefits. I mean, we've got to get out of this short-term, quick win mentality and begin to look at the mid to longer term. And it's those businesses that will do that will really reap the longer-term benefit.
Yeah, and it just translates into it. Again, the link between culture and our outcomes, they should be married. And genuinely authentic, great team leaders, that ripples across the whole team, right? So absolutely agree there.
Yeah.
Very good answer. Good. Final question. What's your proudest moment in your career to date?
Oh, gosh, there have been many.
A big question.
Can I give you a couple of answers here? And I'll know that you're trying to kind of to time you to stop me from talking so much, but I'll give a short couple of answers if that's okay.
Sure.
So, winning a outstanding contribution to judging award at the UK Digital Experience Awards in 2019 was not expected in any way, shape or form. And I cried when Neil presented me with the awards, and it was just I could not believe it. Still can't believe it. Fantastic to have a gold award at home on my shelf. So that one.
That's a great answer. Gets me there.
See how you like this. Well, the next two actually.
Okay.
So, as a customer experience, expert within the search space, of course, it is a real pleasure of mine to have placed a customer services director for First Direct. So that's a biggie. That is an organisation that we all look to for, it is.
How consistent their performance is, how authentic they are. You've made a difference directly to that organisation's direction. That's a good answer.
I have. And then a similar vein, really, but it's a search process that I always look back on really, really fondly, but I actually also really love the business's products as well. So to tie in with, who does customer experience really well, Bose Corporation. I mean, I've just ordered some wireless headphones, and their customer experience, as expected, has been fantastic. I mean, I think the first time that I ever heard the term customer experience was when I was 19 in one of the Bose Experience stores in Birmingham, and I actually placed a director of customer experience for Europe with Bose about 10 years ago. And I look back fondly.
Full circle moment.
Yeah, it was a process that was just seamless. The perfect candidate, the first person that I headhunted, got the role of Luther. So those three things. I mean, there are more, but those three things really, I would say.
Well, what can I say? I mean, that's a mic drop moment there. So all I can say is thank you so much for joining us in the studio. It's been so interesting to get to know you, and I'm really looking forward to the event to come this evening.
Oh, thank you, Alex. Thank you for being so kind to me, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
No problem.